Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome everyone to another episode of One-on-One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. I am your man, Darrell Owens. We are so glad to have you all here with us for another edition of the One-on-One. Quick ones, power rankings. We are in week 17. We've got 2 weeks left. This is going to be our next to last episode. Of course, we'll do one next week to finish out the season. We won't be doing a one after. That'll be our last one. And then Legacy on Fire returns on January 11th as we preview the playoffs. So be ready for that. Thank you all for your support throughout the season. This has been a lot of fun. I've truly enjoyed bringing you the power rankings from each week. We've had a lot of fun doing them, and I'm glad to bring you some more here. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing started because today is a doubleheader. Of course, I don't normally come to you on Sundays, but coming to you on Sunday today. And then after this, you'll see myself and Jeremiah Quimby coming to bring you the Legacy Maker Sports podcast. So as we give you our predictions for today's games. So let's go ahead and start it off like we do every show. And we're going to start off with the bottom. Wrong graphic. So here we go with the bottom. Heading into week 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars are our number 32 team in the NFL. They're just bad, and there's no nice way to put it. Urban Meyer truly destroyed this team, and I don't think he cared about anybody's life while he was doing it. He was definitely living his best life while he was doing it. I know the Jaguars are just a team that they've been bad for so long. You know, they've had one good year, a couple of good years, and last year, like in 2017, they were one win away from the Super Bowl, had that opportunity, and then it just fell apart since then. So the Jaguars are our number 32 team. Sitting in at number 31, the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions have been pleasantly interesting over the last couple of weeks. I mean, they did beat the Cardinals a couple weeks ago. But this week they went in and they beat they lost to the Falcons. So it's just like, you know, it's a young team still trying to get where they need to be. Still don't have the players I think they need in order to truly grow. But we'll get the Lions at 31. At 30, the New York Football Giants. To be honest with you, I would always have them at the end if these other two teams weren't that bad. It's been rough for the New York Giants this season, and the injuries have really hurt them throughout this year. Daniel Jones hasn't played in the last couple of weeks. They've been switching in from Jake Fromm and Mike Glennon. It just hasn't been pretty. So we got the Giants at 30. At 29, the Texans. Now, I will say this about the Texans. The Texans have actually played decent football. Got a nice win over the Chargers. No one expected that. And then not just a nice one. They scored 41 points on the Los Angeles Chargers. 41 points on the Chargers. And I mean, Davis Mills and crew, man, great game. You know, much love to you. I just got to give you credit what credit is due. The Texans are at 29. At 28, the New York Jets. The New York Jets got a win over the Jaguars last week. So their fourth win of the season. You know, I will say I thought the Texans and the Jets would probably be the worst two teams in the league at the beginning of the season, but they've had some decent games here and there. They've won some games, and, you know, the Jets won a game that nobody expected them to win when they banged, the Texans beat the Chargers. No one expected that, but they did. So, you know, much love to those teams after a really tough year. Number 27, the Panthers. The Panthers are a dumpster fire. Yesterday, maybe Friday, the Panthers owner David Tapper is now supposedly having buyer's remorse over Matt Rule. And so I just feel like it's a disaster going on. They brought Cam back. It was a feel-good story for about a week, and it's been a disaster ever since. Sam Darnold is supposed to start today. We'll see if Sam Darnold can re-spark the Panthers. Now, he did lead the Panthers to a 4-0 record at the beginning of the season, and they've won one game since then. So that's how bad it's been in Carolina this year. Next, we got the Seattle Seahawks, who are number 26 on the countdown. They lost to the Bears last week. It was actually a really good game. Bears beat them 25-24. They decided to go for 2 at the end, and the Bears ended up winning that one. So the Bears are number 25 team. The Seahawks are number 26. But it was actually a really good game. I still think there's going to be a lot of changes with the two organizations in the offseason. I fully expect Russell Wilson to be gone. Sometimes you just have a change of scenery. I think it might be time there in Seattle, and I think it's time for Seattle to rebuild. The Bears, I don't think they need to rebuild per se, but they need somebody they can get in there to help Justin Fields. That's going to be very critical in the offseason, finding the right guy to coach Justin Fields and continue his growth in Chicago. Number 24, the Washington football team. Man, I ain't even got nothing to say about this. So supposedly we did hear that they will be dropping their new name Super Bowl week. So we'll finally know who the Washington football team will be around the Super Bowl. So we got probably about another month before we know for sure. But other than that, there's no good news coming out of Washington. They got the Eagles today. I think the Eagles will probably going to win that one. But I won't say too much on that because I'll save that for the podcast. At number 23, the Saints. The Saints are 7-8 and still have an opportunity at the playoffs. That's how wild the NFC has been in that bottom tier. I mean, there are like at least, I think there's like 4 teams left in that playoff battle. There's like 8 teams left in the AFC. So the wild cards are going to definitely be determined. It's going to be interesting to see how they get determined over the next 2 weeks, I guess I would say. Anything could happen at this rate. It's been like that all season. It's been one of the funnest seasons I've seen in the NFL. We'll see if that keeps rolling, but the Saints are not too far out of it. They need a couple things to go their way. And the Eagles lost, the 49ers lost, and they can win. I mean, who knows what happens for the Saints? Maybe they jump into the playoffs. And that's something I know the Buccaneers don't want to see. At 22, the Broncos, another team that is in the playoff mix. They're pretty much the last team in the AFC right now in the playoff mix. They're ranked 13th out of the 13 teams that still can make the playoffs. The Chiefs are the only team that have clinched, so the AFC is going to be wild. And then the Browns, also another team that they won. The Browns had many opportunities to put themselves in the playoffs this year. If they don't make the playoffs this year, season will definitely feel like a total loss for a team that made a nice little run during the playoffs last year, and people, including myself, fully expected them to make the playoffs this year. So with that being said, that is the bottom. The Browns are at 21. So Jags, Lions, Giants, Texans, Jets, Panthers, Seahawks, Bears, Washington football team, Saints, Broncos, and Browns are at the bottom. And so, it's crazy because, like I said, there's still a couple teams that are in the bottom that can make the playoffs. That's how tight this playoff race has been this year. So the Broncos, the Saints, and the Browns all have opportunities to still make the playoffs. We'll see if that happens, if they can pull off miracles here in the next couple of weeks. A lot of crazy things are going to have to happen in order for that to happen, but we will see. Next, let's head to the outside looking in. Outside looking in, the Falcons, another team sitting on that playoff, on that edge. I will give the Falcons this much credit. I did not expect the Falcons to be nowhere near this good this year. And 7-8 is not saying a lot, but it's a lot better than I thought they would be. So they're in the mix. They have a chance to make the playoffs. They're another team that they need some things to go their way to make the playoffs. They got Buffalo today. Buffalo is trying to get themselves in a position to clinch the AFC East. So it's going to be a competitive game today. So the Falcons better be on their P's and Q's. Next, number 19, the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Minnesota Vikings, they play the Packers today. No Kirk Cousins. He's out due to COVID. He has COVID. He is out for today. Sean Menon, I believe, will be starting today. The Vikings are a team that we've all said that they're a really good team that play mediocre from time to time. They win games they shouldn't, or they lose games they shouldn't. It's just weird. They still have a chance to get in the playoffs, but the Packers have an opportunity to knock them out tonight. And as a Packers fan, I hope that happens. Go Pack Go. So next we got the Steelers. The Steelers are a team that, once again, in the mix. They're close, but we just don't know how this thing is going to end. This is Big Ben's last game coming up. They play Monday night against the Browns. This is Big Ben's last game at Heinz Field as the Pittsburgh quarterback. We are hearing that he will retire, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But it's a tough deal for a lot of Steelers. Some Steelers fans are sad by it. Some Steelers fans are ready for a change. So see what Pittsburgh can do to finish out the season. They're 7-1, and number 18 on the power rankings. Number 17 on the power rankings, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 8-7. They are a complete disaster. They went from being the number 1 seed. Let's see. They were 8-3 and the number 1 seed about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and now they are 8-7. They've lost 4 straight games, and it hasn't been pretty. None of them. It's just been ugly all the way around. And tight one, just losing games in heartbreaking fashion. The Ravens are number 17, and on the outside looking in, they need some help. They need some losses, and they may be able to sneak in the playoffs. But what they really need is Lamar Jackson back. They are hurting without him. At number 16, the Las Vegas Raiders, 8-7, also a team looking for an opportunity to sneak into the playoffs, man. All of these teams on the outside looking in have a chance to make the playoffs. They need some things to happen above them, but it could happen. So like I said, the next 2 weeks in the NFL is going to be exciting. This is exactly what the NFL wanted. They wanted these last 2 weeks to mean something. There are so many playoff implications happening today. I wish I can go over all of them. It's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. It is a lot. So that is the outside looking in. Falcons 20, Vikings 19, Steelers 18, 17, the Ravens, and 16, the Raiders. Now, we may try to go over that in the podcast, but like I said, it's a lot going on with the outside looking in, and from pretty much from this point going forward. All right, those are the outside looking in. Let's go ahead and hit you with our top 15 teams heading into week 17. First, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. I could have easily put the Chargers, just the way they played against the Texans, I could easily slid them down. Now they did. They were missing a couple of people due to COVID and injuries, so I'm not going to make an excuse for them. That's a game they still should win against the Texans, but any given Sunday, we all know how that goes. We got the Chargers at 15. At 14, the Philadelphia Eagles. I will say this about the Philadelphia Eagles. Another team that I felt like would be like, I think I had them at 4-12 or some crazy number like that. I didn't think that they would have a good season, but Jalen Hurts and the crew have fought hard. They've got themselves in the playoff mix. They still could make the playoffs. I'll shock a couple people and make the playoffs, especially myself. But they are currently the number 7 seed in the playoffs. And if the playoffs started today, they would be taking on the Dallas Cowboys. So let's watch out and see what happens with Philadelphia to see if they can win this game today against Washington and put themselves in a really good spot and have the keys to the driver's seat heading into next week. Number 13, the San Francisco 49ers. Tough loss for San Francisco last week against Tennessee. That was a very tough loss for San Francisco. I had them winning that game. Jimmy G is banged up, and he will probably not play today. We're looking at the Trey Lance show today, and they're playing the Texans. So the Texans are out here hungry to knock people out of the playoffs. So be prepped if you're San Francisco, because it's going to be a tough one today. That Texas team has played better football over the last couple of weeks. So I fully expect it to be a Trey Lance party today, but we'll see if the 49ers can move to 9-7. Next, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, 8-7. Let me tell y'all something. I wanted to put Miami so high on this list. I'm proud of the Dolphins, man. Like, the Dolphins went 1-0. They've been on streaks. They went 1-0. Then they lost 7 in a row. Now they've won 7 in a row, and now currently hold the last spot in the AFC playoffs. So they got a tough one today against the Titans, who are currently the number 2 seed. And if the playoffs had started today, they would play the Titans. So a win for the Dolphins today puts them in a really good spot to go ahead and lock this thing up next week. But I'm very proud of Flores and the squad. And I've heard people say, well, look at the teams they play. Look, man, you still got to go out there and win the games. People say that, yeah, look at the teams that won, but if you go out there and win the games you're supposed to win, then why are you trashing them? I don't understand it. They went out there and won the games that people thought they should win against bad teams, and they did just that. Dallas does it all the time. No one says anything. Oh, no, they do. I lie. People say a lot about it. But anywho, you go out there and win the games you're supposed to win, or people think you're supposed to win. And that's what the Dolphins did. Let's see if the Dolphins make the playoffs so they can make me look like a smart person. Next, the New England Patriots, who have fallen quite a bit. They were 9-4 a couple of weeks ago. They've lost 2 straight games. And, we had them high as 4, maybe even 3 on this countdown, on this power rankings. And now they are now at 11. So tough fall for the Patriots, but they're still in the playoffs. I think they're the number 6 seed at the current time. So they're not in a bad spot. So we'll see what New England can do and see if they can add on. And New England has a interesting game today. They're taking on the should get that dub. They should get that dub, but we'll see. Next one, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati winning 2 in a row, 2 nice ones in a row at that. Up on the Ravens, and now they're set today to take on the number 1 seed, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Kansas City's made the playoffs, but they have not locked that number 1 seed by far. There is a really good chance that the Cincinnati Bengals can go and sneak in there and potentially still have a shot at that number 1 seed. But the most important thing is you need to beat today the Chiefs to get your opportunity at that. I said the AFC is wild, man. Only one team is clinched in, and everything else is a cluster. Anything can happen in the next couple of weeks. Next, the Buffalo Bills finally retake the lead in the AFC East. After losing it to the Patriots a couple of weeks ago, the Buffalo Bills have climbed back after a really tough stretch during the middle of the season and have themselves in position to, potentially win the AFC East. At number 8, the Indianapolis Colts. Still, I feel like my hottest team, the team to watch out for in the AFC. They could really wreck shop in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but they could really make a ton of noise in the playoffs. So watch out for the Colts. They could do some really good things. Next, the Arizona Cardinals. Tough break for Arizona. Arizona has been falling like Alicia Keys, but they got a big game against Dallas this week. If they can beat Dallas, they can regain some momentum, but they have clinched the playoff spot, so that's something that Arizona can hang their head on. But now they're fighting to get a home game. As of now, they lost the lead in the NFC West. They've got to find a way to get it back. Number 6, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are 10-5, number 2 seed in the AFC, and they've done this without King Henry, and they've done this without Julio Jones being banged up all year, who's on the COVID list. They've done this with, AJ Brown being out half of the season. And kudos to AJ Brown. Last week he had like 11 receptions for 144 yards. He was killing them last week. So great, great to see AJ Brown back in his form. But this Tennessee team, low key, and Henry could be back for the playoffs. If he's back healthy, oh boy, Tennessee can make a lot of noise. I know I keep saying make a lot of noise, but that is the truth, y'all. There could be a lot of noise making in the AFC playoffs and the NFC playoffs. Next, we got the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams have been in the highest of highs. They're one of the teams that have had the number 1 slot on this power rankings at least once or twice throughout their year. And the Rams now are sitting at 5. They dropped all the way down, I think, to like 11 or 12, and now they're back into the top 5. Rams are playing good football. OBJ and the crew starting to get things going. They're at number 5. At number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are currently number 4. They're 11-4. They still have an outside chance right now of getting the number 1 seed, but a lot of things have to happen in order for that to happen. So I believe if Green Bay wins today, as long as they don't lose, I think it's going to be crazy. It's still Tampa Bay still has a chance at it, but if it's a tied record towards the end of the season, Green Bay would get the advantage because of the division of the conference wins. So Tampa Bay at number 4, see what they can do. Number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City started this countdown off at 2 at the beginning of the year. They went all the way down into the bottom and came all the way back from the bottom to the top. So started from the top, went to the bottom, and back to the top. Kansas City, number 1 seed in the AFC. And they might be the quietest number 1 seed in the AFC. And this is coming from a team that's been in the Super Bowl the last 2 years. So I know that sounds crazy out loud, but even though they're the number 1 seed, it's been like they started off so bad that people don't know what we're going to see from Kansas City. I just think that they're starting to warm up. They get healthier. The defense has been playing great lately. Got a true test today against Cincinnati. We'll see how fun that is. We got Kansas City at number 3. Number 2, the Arlington Desperados, a.k.a. the Dallas Cowboys. You'll know about the Arlington Desperados at the podcast today. So if you don't know why I'm saying that, you'll see then. But the Dallas Cowboys are 11-4, the number 2 seed, the number 2 ranking, and number 2 seed in the NFC, number 2 ranking on the power rankings. And, Dallas has played really good football all year. A lot of people want to, knock them because they beat up on, under 500 teams. But just like I said with the Dolphins, you have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And that's what Dallas does. And, but they got a chance today to punch some of the haters in the chest and say, hey, we beat the Cardinals. They got a 10-5 record. So we don't want to hear your mouths. So Dallas has a chance at the 1 seed still. And they also have a chance at going in and shutting some of the doubters up today. We got the Dallas Cowboys at number 2. And number 1, the Green Bay Packers. They're 12-3. They're sitting pretty right now. I don't want to say it's fallen to their lap, but they've got an opportunity to clinch some things. They got a chance to go ahead, beat Minnesota today if they can. No Kirk Cousins. They got a chance to beat Minnesota. It's going to be 0 degrees in Green Bay tonight. 0 degrees in Green Bay tonight. This is Aaron Rodgers weather. So they got a chance to go out there, get a dub tonight. And if they get that one, it's going to put them in a really good spot of getting the 1 seed in the NFC. And that's very important for Green Bay because if they can get that 1 seed, they can rest Aaron Rodgers and try to get that toe as close to 100% as possible. It won't be a lot. And they won't get to 100%, but they want to get close. The Green Bay Packers are number 1. All right, there it is. Those are our power rankings for week 17. And before we give you our NFL rankings, for the NFL MVP rankings, we're going to go back through it one more time. First, the bottom: Jaguars, Lions, Giants, Texans, Jets, Panthers, Seahawks, Bears, Washington football team, Saints, Broncos, and Browns. On the outside looking in: Falcons, Vikings, Steelers, Ravens, and Raiders. Number 15 on the countdown, the Los Angeles Chargers. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Buffalo Bills, the Indianapolis Colts, the Arizona Cardinals, Tennessee Titans, Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay Bucks, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Green Bay Packers. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finish it up right. Here are my top 5 MVP candidates as we hit. It got a little bit clearer as the year went along. It was a little tough for a while, a little foggy. But here we are. Here are MVP candidates heading into week 17. Number 5, Michael Parsons. It's pretty much the same from last week. I didn't change anything. Parsons at 5, Cooper Kupp at 4, still having a dynamic year at the receiver position. Tom Brady at number 3. Jonathan, and this in a lot of people's eyes is between Rodgers and Taylor. I feel like if the Colts had won those 2 games against the Buccaneers and the Ravens, I've been saying it all year, Taylor would easily, in my opinion, be the number 1 guy for the Hall of Fame. But maybe down in the future, but for the MVP. Aaron has had a phenomenal season since the last time he thrown his interception. Last pick he's thrown, he's like 16 touchdowns or 18 touchdowns to 0 picks. He just takes care of the football, and he's not doing anything super spectacular. He's just being super efficient, and a lot of people see him as the MVP. As a Packer fan, I want to see it, but I'll be honest with you, man, I just want a Super Bowl. That's all I really care about. Get me to the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that then. All right, everybody, I'm your man, Darrell Owens. Thank you for tuning in to 101, and it looks like it's probably about time for episode 289 of the Legacy Maker Sports Podcast with Mr. Miami. So make sure you guys are tuned in and ready for that. Thank you once again. We truly appreciate you all for tuning in for 101. I'm your man, Darrell Owens. Until next time.
One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one.